So guys, today we are going to take a look at this fairly new, I think it's fairly new out, training aid by Gabe Golf. This was by Gabriel Hjertstedt. I hope I've said that right. But anyway, he was a tour player, won on the PGA Tour, very good player, and he's brought this training aid out. Now, in fairness, it is without doubt the best put together training aid I've ever seen in terms of materials. I think the way it looks, everything is fantastic. Forged head, okay, 7-iron. I think the black looks amazing. Okay, it's got a custom made KBS shaft, which has been made for this. It's got a patent on it and a lambkin grip. So there has been zero spared. Never said that. So anyway, they've done it amazing. So you can see there's a couple of marble ball bearings in the shaft. Now, the idea behind this is that it is meant to be used to stop you from snatching at the top and getting very, very quick in the transition. So what the idea behind the training aid is that when you get this club to the top of the backswing, you wait for the ball to hit to the bottom, then you start down, okay? So you are gonna feel that the golf club starts to load. Once it's got to that position, then you can just hit as soon as they get to the bottom. So somebody who snatches from the top, starts down with the shoulders and the arms before the club's finished loading, it's designed to help that player a lot. Now, from that standpoint, I think it's going to be fantastic for that player, okay? And what you'll see later in the video is a few comments, but we'll get to that in a minute, okay? For me, I've genuinely really struggled with it for my game. So let me give you the feedback around why I've struggled, okay? I think, like I say, it's put together so nicely. It's really, really good. Okay, but I set the golf club quite late, okay? So I kind of float load. So obviously that is part of the timing in my swing. So if you imagine Sergio, it's coming down and it's lagging in, so there isn't a point where there's going to be a pause because that's part of the transition move. So for me, this is really difficult, okay? So for me, the pause at the top just feels ages. Let's actually hit a shot and let me give you a bit of an idea on what I'm thinking. So I'll hit one where I'm not going to wait for it, okay? And just kind of give you an idea of what the timing in that movement is like, okay, for me personally. And then I'm going to do one with the pause so you guys can see what the difference is and how different it is for me. And I'll explain to you what I'm feeling. Then I'll explain why I think it's great for some players, okay? So for me here, I'm just going to hit one. I'm just going to let myself just do my normal swing. So I never heard the balls click there. I actually hit that one fairly solidly, but there was never any point that I felt or heard the ball bearing start to load, etc. So for me, then that was a good shot, hit it pretty nicely, didn't lean towards the target, did quite a lot of good things. But what we're going to do now is I'm going to try one this time. And due to the nature with how I set the golf club, we'll see how long it takes at the top. Feels like it's going to be a long time going off that one. Hopefully not. Let's see. Okay, so I'm not going to do a slow backswing. I'm not going to do one the backswing that I like to see. Okay, where I set it a bit earlier. I'm going to do one that is my golf swing when I've not been practicing at all. Okay, so this is like a later wrist set in the backswing. Honestly, that felt like an eternity at the top for me. That felt like Matsuyama on steroids at the top. If he had a pause, mine was miles longer. For me, that felt just ages at the top. I don't know how long it looked, okay, because I've not looked back at this, but it felt so long that felt really unnatural for me, to be dead honest with you. So for me, who sets the club late, I felt like I didn't get the right lag coming down. I felt like I waited for it. kind of lost a bit of my own personal sequencing. So I think for somebody who sets the club really late, which is in such a small percentage of golfers' swings, by the way, there's not a lot that do this, okay? So it's a rare thing to see how many players on tour look like Sergio Garcia. There's not many, okay? Not that I look like Sergio, but it's got that kind of tendency and look to it. That golf swing then is going to feel a bit unnatural when you start using this, okay? Now, I know that your swing should feel unnatural when you're using a training aid, but I think that could affect that player's transition a little bit. Now, I'm going to set the club quite early, okay? Get it fully loaded at halfway back, and you guys can then see how this works, okay? So we're going to go loaded, feel it click, well, hear it click at the top, and then see how long that set, the weight is. I don't think it's going to be anywhere near as long. So I'm going to have to really just get a good feel for this, just one moment, guys. So I'm going to try and feel like it's getting right in here. Okay. That didn't feel as bad as on my one, okay? Didn't feel like I was waiting as long, but it still had a bit of a pause. Where I think that this is going to be fantastic for everyone is if you are the player who starts down, upper body first, snatches at it, really struggles for sequencing, doesn't start with that lower body, this could be great because you could learn how to start that lower body whilst waiting for this to load in. In fact, I'm going to do one second. I'm actually going to try and talk through it. Hopefully I make some form of semblance of a contact with it, but we'll see. So I'm going to really just try and load this. I'm going to say, right now, it feels like I can maybe just start to feel how my transition can start from the ground. This could be really good for you guys if you really struggle starting down with the upper body first, or you get very out of sequence. This could be great. So what I'm going to do is feel like a fairly solid wrist set. So got it going back here, got the wrist set, pause, low body. So that meant that I could actually physically start that down. So if this is something that you struggle with, this could be a really good solution for you. Could be great. For me, it's not that great for my game. But like I said, I'm in such a small percentage of golfers that we're talking about the majority. So if you're talking about obviously struggling with that transition, this could be amazing. Now, I've tested this with some students and asked them for their feedback. So flick over and have a look at what students have thought about this training aid. I'm not going to influence your decision on this one now, but obviously we know that you will have struggled to get it in the ideal top of the backswing. Have a look at that on the screen first of all. Yeah.
It's weird because you almost feel where the club is. And because it's there, it does feel, for me, that I've got to get that wrist back, which is a problem that we've had because I tend to get across the line of it sometimes.
So for you, having that little pause, so for you, what's your feedback off that, from your swing?
It just gets me feeling right at the top of the backswing. Rather than sometimes I think I rush the downswing, which then leads me to come up the top slightly. With this one, because you're actually physically waiting for it, it feels like you can just pull it down a little bit and carry through.
Okay, what does that feel like, mate?
I feel like pulling at the top for too long, it makes all the time in the hands just far too hard.
Found it difficult to get the correct transition going. So how did that feel to you, mate?
That felt like I got loads of time to let the club come down.
Okay.
Like, because I think one of my problems is doing that.
Getting a bit rushed.
Yeah. And I felt like a weight from my hand, because my hands caught up, I felt like I had more time for the rest of the swing.
So the idea of that trainer, which I haven't told you yet, is that you wait for it to load so that you don't feel hurried and rushed in your transition.
Right.
Would you feel that that's achieving that for you?
That definitely achieved that.
So as you can see there, some of these students absolutely loved it. Some were a little bit, you know, didn't really have a complete thought on it, and maybe they needed a few more shots with it to spend some serious time with it, which I know that's what a lot of players would need. But I think if you are struggling with your transition, starting too early with the shoulders, this is a great training aid for that. Like I say, for me, it's awful, but for other players, it will be fantastic. Now, hope you've enjoyed this review. If you'd like to see more from me, please subscribe. If you want to contact me, you can do so via the website. Thanks a lot for watching, and talk with you again soon.